No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Little darling, don't shed no tears. No woman, no cry. Good friends we are, and good friends we've lost along the way.
Hello, everyone. This is the world's biggest geek, and this is my first time doing this live stream. So, forgive me if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm here with Cinematic Sterling, Right Dude, Rome's, and KitchenAid Whiskey Jones, and we're here to talk about the Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie. And if you're smart, this is spoiler review. So if you don't want to get spoiled, I suggest you do not watch this live stream. But since I'm the host, I guess I will start with my review on this movie. Personally speaking, this movie was amazing. The Phase 4 has definitely been an up and down roller coaster, and I definitely have been disappointed with some of the stuff that they have released. I'm not going to name anything because it'll take all day. But going into this movie, I had my worries, I had my speculations, and I was curious to see if this movie was going to honor the memory of Chadwick Boseman, and it does an amazing job. The first 5 minutes was perfect. It immediately like puts you back into the world of just like yes, like he unfortunately passed away, and it makes you feel, even though you don't see him on screen, you can still feel his presence in the movie in those first 5 minutes. And it was just really just heartbreaking to just see it happen all over again, just from a different point of view. And then the funeral was amazing. Like, just everything about the first 5 minutes was amazing. And I would say that like the lack of music in the intro was definitely like that was very, very well thought of, because my theater, as soon as the intro came, you couldn't hear a pin drop. It was silence. It was straight silence for the first 5 minutes, because that it was that important that we were to just feel the emotion that the movie was giving us. And as far as the plot, I thought the plot was great. I think this is probably what the best written story in Phase 4 so far. I think where Phase 4 was lacking was definitely a cohesive story with good characters and a good antagonist. And as much as I think that Killmonger was a better protagonist than Namor, Namor is definitely an amazing character. And the actor, I'm sorry, I do not know his name. He definitely brought his A game with his performance as Namor. He was a very competent antagonist. I'm not going to say villain because he is an anti-hero in the comics, but he did an amazing job as the character. I think the standout performance of this movie was definitely Angela Bassett. I think she gives an Oscar-worthy performance as Queen Ramona, because I think she did an amazing job as conveying a broken woman who has to carry her nation on her back and try to lead it into a promising future. And to address the elephant in the room, Letitia Wright, because I know there was controversy about her being Black Panther and taking the mantle and everything that went on behind the scenes during production, but I think she did an amazing job as Shuri. And as her, I did like her as the new Black Panther. Now, she did not end up taking the throne, which I'm not mad about. I don't think ruling was definitely something she wanted, but I definitely see her as Black Panther for the foreseeable future until, well, we'll get into the post credit scene later. But I think that this movie does an amazing job with Shuri. I think it does an amazing job with showing Wakanda as a nation trying to stand strong. I think everything about this movie was just great. And the last scene of the movie had me in tears because it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful. That's how, if that was something. If there was a way to end that movie on a high note and an emotional note, that would have been the ending. It's just a perfect ending. And unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman passed away, and it's very heartbreaking and sad. But his memory will definitely live on. And it was an amazing experience to watch this movie with a bunch of fellow African Americans like myself. And I even saw someone in a Black Panther costume, and it's like this dude, the Chadwick Boseman really did inspire a whole group of African Americans, like, and especially African American boys like myself, that we had someone that we can look up to as like our our hero. And Black Panther really had such an impact on the black community. It had an impact on me, like back when I first saw Black Panther. And I just want to say personally, like, Chadwick Boseman, like, thank you for everything that you've done as the character. And it is very unfortunate that you are gone, but your memory will not be forgotten. So that being said, all I have to say is Wakanda forever. We miss you. Now on to my pal Cinematic Sterling, who will give his review. And as far as number grade, I will give this movie a 9 out of 10.
All right, so let's be honest with ourselves. 2022 was not a great year for comic book movies. In fact, I can only say the only one I liked this year was The Batman. Nothing else impressed me, especially when it comes to the MCU. Because you have Multiverse of Madness, while fun, it was a complete mess. And then you have Thor Love and Thunder, which was complete and utter shit. And to top it all off, you have the shocking sudden death of the talented Chadwick Boseman. So there was a lot, going into this movie. And after seeing the movie, I can gladly say I actually liked a Marvel movie this year. Holy shit, it's about time. The two big things I appreciate about this movie are Ryan Coogler's direction and how it does a great job paying tribute to Chadwick Boseman. Unlike Taika Waititi's, Coogler actually cared about making this a good movie, and he succeeded. He gives us some great action scenes, excellent performances from his actors, and the emotions of this movie are strong, especially during the opening. I'm glad they didn't do a CGI Chadwick because that would have cheapened the movie for me. His presence is felt throughout the movie, and the movie immediately hits you with T'Challa dying in the opening. The acting is strong, especially from Amanda Bassett as Queen Ramonda and Letitia Wright as Shuri. Both of them have excellent arcs, and they pay it off full circle. Queen Ramonda's death was very emotional, and it was satisfying seeing Shuri kick ass as the Black Panther. Winston Duke as M'Baku was hilarious. Denai Guerrera as how do you pronounce her name? Oaka? I know, I butchered that.
Okoye.
Okoye, there we go. She was badass as Okoye, and I cheered in the theater when I saw Michael B. Jordan return as Killmonger. I also loved Namor in this movie. I found him to be a very intimidating villain. He has so many badass moments, and I hope we see him in more movies. It feels good that we finally got to see the original mutant in a Marvel Comics movie. It's about time. The action scenes are a ton of fun. Just like with Namor, his army gets a lot of badass moments as well, especially during their first appearance. Lastly, the movie improved on a big thing I was getting sick of with the MCU, and that was the annoying quipping and humor that would always kill the tension. There were jokes killing the mood of the serious scenes constantly, and they weren't annoying me throughout the movie. I found a lot of the jokes in this movie to be funny, and they were perfectly balanced throughout the film. Take notes, Taika. Take notes, She-Hulk. Unfortunately, the movie isn't completely flawless, and there are some things that prevent me from giving it that perfect score. I felt the movie dragged on for a bit too long, and there could have been a good bit of the movie that could have been cut. It says something when the Batman was 3 hours, and I didn't feel the runtime of that movie. But I felt it here. And then you have Marvel's over-reliance on CGI. I've seen a lot worse CGI in the MCU, especially in this phase alone. But the CGI in this movie, especially T'Challa's coffin floating up in the ship and the big fight at the end, looked very wonky and didn't look believable at all. And Dominique Thorne, while I did like her as Ironheart, and I did find her to be really funny, like with America Chavez, I found her character to be pretty bland, and the Ironheart suit looked like Max Steel. And lastly, while I appreciate them not doing a CGI Chadwick Boseman, I kind of wish they did do stock footage of him. I don't know, that's just me. But in conclusion, I'm glad I like this movie. I miss Chadwick Boseman playing this character, but it feels satisfying knowing Ryan Coogler and the people behind the MCU actually cared about paying tribute to their fallen friend. While I prefer the first movie over this was still worth seeing. Give us a watch in theaters, and remember, Wakanda forever, and I give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. All right, give me a minute. Okay. All right. As someone who enjoyed the first Black Panther, I really wasn't sure what to think of the sequel because Chadwick Boseman passed away a couple years before shooting the film even began, and I was worried how they were going to be able to do the sequel without Prince T'Challa. Even though the trailer showed more of like the nation of Wakanda than Black Panther, I was still concerned how the sequel would played out. I was expecting the film to be decent at best and okay at worst. After seeing it, this film was a lot better than I thought. I can easily say this film was just as good as the first one. First of all, I love the opening that honors Chadwick Boseman. It starts off with the funeral of Prince T'Challa, and the opening Marvel Studios title sequences shows Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, which is a great way to honor this actor and his character. Even though most studios would probably take the easy route and just recast the character or use CGI to cover everything, Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige knew that no one will ever replace him, and doing so would be such a disgrace to Boseman and this character. What they honored this actor and this character in a great way. Most of the actors and actresses, they do a really good job with their performances. I especially liked Angela Bassett as Queen Ramonda, and I'm going to butcher his name. Danae, the actress that played Okoye. So, Letitia Wright as Prince Shuri gives a power performance. Dominic Thorne did a really good job as Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. At first, I was afraid her character was going to come across as annoying, but she surprisingly didn't bother me. She brought charisma to this role. I'm not even going to bother butchering that name, but the guy who played Namor, he did all right for his role. Nothing great, but nothing terrible. I also like that this film feels like more of a journey piece for Shuri. She's still grieving with the loss of her brother and learning to become more strong for him. This feels like this movie is about her, where she learns to be a strong leader and a warrior by the end, earning her the title of the Black Panther. This is a great way to honor Chadwick Boseman's legacy and still pass on the torch to a new generation. And I would love to see her in the next MCU film. The Namor is a decent villain. Although I wish that there was a little bit more motivation for Surface World. I mean, I get that he's concerned that the Surface World would be considered a threat to his people, and he's just looking after them. But I feel like there probably could have been a little bit more to it. And I know a lot of Namor purists are probably going to be pissed that he's Talcon and not an Atlantean because Aquaman already used that term. So, but it really wasn't too much of a problem for me. The action scenes are pretty cool, especially the fight at the end. However, if there's one thing that nearly ruined the action scenes for me, it would be the bad CGI. The CGI was bad in the final climax of the first movie, and it doesn't even look better here. The characters just look so rubbery and fake when going CGI, and it almost ruins those intense moments. And I also felt like there were some pacing issues here and there, and some moments you could have paced it a little bit better, cut some scenes out, things like that. But despite my issues with the pacing and CGI, I still had a really fun time with this movie. I would say if you like the first one, I would definitely say give the second one a chance. And I would also say Wakanda Forever. And my final score is an 8 out of 10.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. After reading the early reviews and reactions, I came into this film with slightly tempered expectations, merely expecting to like the film at best, if not to be outright disappointed in it. Imagine my surprise, therefore, to find a tear rolling across my cheek by the time the title sequence. I've always been a sucker for a tearjerker, and this film is at its best, is its strongest in that respect when it serves as a meditation on the nature of death and loss. It was always obvious this film would take that route, giving the crushing impact of Chadwick Boseman's loss on the cast and crew, but never was it a sure thing that they would manage to pull it off. Angela Bassett's skills were in question, of course, and she exemplifies every bit the regal queen of Wakanda one would expect. But the balance of the burden rested on the shoulders of Letitia Wright as Shuri, the heir apparent thrust into a role she neither wanted nor expected in more ways than one. Despite her admirable performance as the adorable Shuri in the first film and Infinity War, questions fairly remained as to whether she could carry the titular role. Well, I am happy to report that all such questions should forevermore be laid to rest. Letitia Wright proves herself as the emotional heartbeat of the film, demonstrating an entire range of emotions as she takes us with her on her journey from denial to depression to anger and finally to acceptance and peace. The rest of the film feels more mixed, but not to the point that it drags the film down. The plot, again, understandably, focuses on the political isolation of Wakanda as her enemies seek weaknesses to be exploited. From a geopolitical standpoint, this is realistic and intriguing. When a great nation appears rudderless, enemies always smell blood. What's more, however, a third actor appears on the international stage, the underwater nation of Talokan, the MCU's Mayan stand-in for Atlantis, ruled by Marvel Comics' original mutant, King Namor. The scene at the beginning where Namor and the Talokans is introduced is fantastic, playing almost like a scene straight out of a horror movie. The Talokans come across as a real threat via this and other scenes, such as Namor and his Talokan warriors, bypassing Wakanda defenses entirely, making the mighty African nation feel vulnerable for the first time. Yet other elements do not work so well. Tenoch Huerta gives a rather uneven performance as Namor in my view. I wanted to like him, and there were moments when he was very effective, such as the scene on the beach where he leans in close and threatens Angela Bassett's Queen Ramonda. Other times, however, he comes across as flat or just not that intimidating. The writing for his character still works, though, however well it may or may not be executed. He genuinely comes across as a leader looking out for the best interest of his people. Dominique Thorne comes across as charming and relatable as Riri Williams, yet she is treated as little more than a plot device from beginning to end. Still, I look forward to seeing more of her in the future. The big action set piece at the end comes across as a little over the top, yet it works nonetheless, if only because it brings Shuri's journey to a satisfying end. Winston Duke deserves special mention as M'Baku, who remains hilarious yet moves beyond the role of comic relief to serve as a wise counselor to an angry Shuri dealing with devastating losses. In this sense, the film smartly flips the whole token female trope on its head, with M'Baku serving, on the good guy side at least, as a token male in an otherwise female-dominated society. I had decided long before viewing this that the film needed to do three things to be successful. First, it needed to honor Chadwick Boseman's legacy. Second, it needed to establish a new Black Panther to prove that Wakanda and the series could go on without him. Third, it needed to stand on its own two legs as a good film in its own right. Ryan Coogler brilliantly blended all three of these elements into a film that stands as a worthy successor to the outstanding original. My final rating is an 8.5 out of 10.
So my turn. So, like everybody has said, the opening and the first part of this movie, it's going to really get audience hooked. Audience are going to have a lot of goosebumps in the opening, first 5-10 minutes of this movie. This is a movie that's very emotional, very dramatic. A lot's going on. It's mainly a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. This middle part of the movie is where there's a lot of issues. I felt like the film really went into another direction with Namor and some of the other stuff. I feel like that could have been set up for another movie or his movie. The writing was good, but I thought that Ryan Coogler had a fight with Marvel Studios because there were some jokes, a lot of jokes that were in there just didn't work. and it's like Ryan had something he wanted to do, and Marvel wanted something they wanted him to do, and they tried to find common ground. But some of the stuff that they wanted to bring in just didn't work for this movie because this is supposed to be a emotional drama kind of movie that really impacts what happened with Chadwick Boseman in real life. And one of the things that I thought Tanash Horita was very forgettable as Namor. I just wasn't really into his story. I got really bored with a lot of stuff that they were doing. Just didn't really work for me. I loved Angela Bassett. I thought she was the best thing out of this whole movie. Her performance was fantastic. She steals every scene she's in. You feel the emotion that she has for losing her son and while almost losing her daughter and almost losing her nation as well. And everything that was going on with her, you really feeling for a grieving mother and the stuff that she had to really be as a queen to really like carry on and to lead her nation while dealing with another world that was more dominant, trying to destroy Wakanda. Daniel Guerrero as Oki was really good, very standout. I'm happy to see she had more to do with this as well. Letitia Wright was okay in my opinion. I feel like maybe she wasn't ready to lead the movie right away, but she did a great job. She really took what she was given and ran with it. I thought Dominique Thorne, who played Riri, was okay. She had a really good personnel to make Riri likable, but there were some Tom Holland Spider-Man vibes with her, especially with her making some movie references, which felt very Tom Holland Spider-Man. I thought Winston Duke was really good, another scene stealer as well. Anytime he was in the movie or in the scenes, he just stole the show right away. But overall, if you're hoping that you're going to get any kind of like hints for Phase 5 or any teases or any kind of payoffs, this is not what that movie's about. It's really a tribute to Chadwick Boseman and just the characters who are left without T'Challa. They're picking up the pieces. And overall, it's a good movie. I had a great time watching it. I'm seeing it again Monday. Right now, I would give my score a 7 out of 10. And Wakanda Forever.
Wait, hold on. Oh no. All right.
There we go.
There we
There we
go.
go.
You got it.
So now that we have all of our individual, reviews, let's address the post-credit scene. So, T'Challa has a son.
Yes.
His name is T'Challa.
Yeah.
So, what do we think about this?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's great because to me it shows that the legacy will continue. It shows that it doesn't end with just Cabot. It doesn't end with even with her. The legacy will continue.
Exactly. That was, you just took the words out of my mouth, Mark. So, but it does honor the legacy, and it will show that that the Black Panther will continue to live on. That the name of T'Challa will live on. So,
I mean,
because it's like, oh, my bad, Rose.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I was going to say I didn't know about the leaks, so I knew that they were going to introduce a son. Just a question of how it was going to be executed. I thought they executed really well. I mean, at the end, Shuri's by herself. There's no more family, and then she discovers she still has a family.
Yeah.
Therefore, like she's not as Killmonger. She got out of it because she found out she has a nephew. Mm-hmm. Although I don't know why nobody told her, even though her mother knew about it, which is weird. Yeah. But
I think she wanted to tell him. To tell her, like, because she was gonna say, like, sure, there's something like about your brother that you don't know, and then that's when Namor first popped up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, T just never had time, because I think she thought maybe either it wasn't her place to tell her, or she's waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
Now
it seems to me that she had just found out herself.
So I do. Yeah. So I do have a question. How long do you think the gap was when she got pregnant with T'Challa's son?
So I'm guessing
T'Challa got snapped.
Yeah, it had to have been right before that.
I would assume it would be.
It had to, because Okoye must have been not Okoye. Nakia had to have been. Nakia had to have been one of the few, like one of the people that lived during the snap.
Mm-hmm.
So she definitely had his child during that time, and then that's when he unfortunately died of an illness.
They even reference her being gone for a number of years, that she left years ago. So I mean, she just couldn't take the loss of him. I mean, I felt really. Speaking of which, I felt really bad for Queen Ramonda and Shuri. They've lost him twice.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Lose him, get him back, and then lose him for good.
And Shuri,
three times actually.
Well, Shuri got snapped too.
Yeah, Shuri did.
Oh yeah, that's right. She did. Wow.
She did get snapped.
I think Ramonda got snapped as well, didn't she? Because Oki was the one who was running Wakanda.
Yeah.
Throughout that, So all three got snapped.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It sucks because T'Challa just became king.
Yeah.
And then the thing happened with Killmonger. Then he got his throne back. Then it got snapped out of existence for 5 years. And then he came back. And then he died of an illness.
Yeah.
Man,
You're just gonna catch a break.
It's just it is kind of like terrible luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it just kind of sucks that happened, but I mean, because obviously we would have preferred to have a long run with Chadwick. I mean, because there's so many more stories you could tell with him. But I mean, you know, I mean, they did a fantastic job adjusting.
I would say because like I did have my gripes with Nakia as a character, because it's like, but this is before the post-credit scene, because it's like in the first movie you're pretty much just like the ex-girlfriend of T'Challa, and it's like you left to go do whatever it is that you want to do, okay, but then you don't show up in Infinity War, you don't show up in and then again, you're basically just doing the same thing like you did in the first movie. Like, you didn't show up to the funeral. You didn't, you've been away this entire time. So it's like, But then the post-credit scene happened, and I'm like, okay, now I get it. I get why you were away. I get why you did all that stuff. It wasn't Wakanda's time to know that T'Challa had a son yet.
But Jay,
I understand.
But Jay, how could you be mad at them cheeks? I mean, come on. Jesus,
can't argue with that.
You can argue with that logic, man. I mean, you can't be mad at them cheeks, man. I'm telling you.
We got it.
You see what T'Challa saw in her. I'm telling you.
You got to keep this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'll stop.
But
can I just say one thing? Seriously, I was really impressed by how restrained the film was. It seemed that Feige really let Coogler do what he wanted with this film, because you did not have a lot of that typical cringe Marvel humor. There was some, but I think what they had in there was more effective because it was used more sparingly.
Yes. I was in the theater.
Exactly. One cringe scene I had was Tanash, was the Namor, when he was trying to talk to Shuri, talk about like she wanted to see, I'm going to call it Atlantis, but like want to see Atlantis. And he talked about how this crucifying horror thing is going to happen to her. And then he goes, "Oh, but we have this." I thought it was kind of a really cheesy, like cringy, like out of character moment for him.
No, because like I was in a theater that whenever there was a joke, like we all laughed, but it was when it was actually funny. Like when M'Baku came in with like the carrot, because like he's a vegetarian. Like that was kind of funny.
I will feed you. I will feed you to my children. I'm just kidding. We're vegetarian.
Yeah.
Or when Shuri and Okoye like went to
vision.
That was funny.
Oh, that was the best joke of the whole movie.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the Talokan Warriors. They were badass.
Oh,
they were
so awesome.
Oh my God! I mean, it's like Kaylee said. My daughter Kaylee, she said, and she's like, I've never seen her get her ass kicked like that before. I mean, like, seriously, I mean, Jesus Christ! I mean, she was really shook. I mean,
Okoye is like a strong character. She's one of the
seriously. I felt so bad for her. I felt so bad for her.
My favorite
of her rank and her everything that.
That's all that was great.
Like,
I thought that was a great scene between her and Angela Bassett.
Man,
really, when she strips her from rank, It's such a
Yes.
beautiful scene because she reminds her like
yes.
what happened in the first movie.
And Angela Bassett was
Everything,
so great in that scene because you could tell that,
Yeah.
I mean, she really came across as having that suppressed anger over the fact that she supported Killmonger over them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that scene.
There's clearly some bitterness
I
there.
do like how even though we only saw, and we'll get to that scene like briefly after I mention this, but I do like how even though he's dead, Killmonger's presence is still felt.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yes, absolutely, man.
It made perfect sense.
Really affected Wakanda.
It made perfect sense.
It made sense. It made absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It made perfect sense.
Perfect sense.
You mentioned him by name. I'm like, oh, they're still talking. Like they're still talking about Killmonger. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when Queen Ramonda like was talking about, I'm like, yeah, like she did stay by Killmonger.
As a reminder,
But from her perspective, I get it because she serves the king, like she is like about
exactly
Wakanda with tradition. Like yes, she
exactly.
does think that Killmonger is.
He was rightfully the king. He won the challenge. I mean,
he did.
Yeah,
yes, he did.
So
he did.
I saw Okoye wasn't wrong, but at the same time, the queen had a right to be, to be angry about that.
True.
She had a right.
Did.
She had the right to. But yeah, when Okoye got stripped the rank, I was sad because I'm like, no.
Yeah, really. Me too. That's all that meant anything to her.
That's meant, absolutely.
All she cared about.
Same, but like that's the thing. We knew they were setting something up for her too. Like especially when Sherry's making that armor, that predator-looking armor for her.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought that.
No, I thought the same thing when I saw her using it. I'm like, we got predators in this movie. But it was really cool. I like that how it was used.
Yeah,
it was like it's like if Tony Stark makes a predator suit.
But since I mentioned Killmonger, let's talk about the scene that honestly I saw coming. But at the same time,
I did not.
It was still super cool.
I did not. My jaw dropped. I was like, yes! We did like that. Yes!
What was that again?
Killmonger.
Oh, yes! Everyone in my theater cheered at that.
Yes,
everyone in my theater.
Same in mine.
My theater was like silent, but I had a big smile on my face. I'm like, even though I knew he was coming, I was just happy to see him again.
Yeah,
that was my.
Yeah. I mean, that blew my mind
because she enters the plane and then there's the throne. I'm like, is Queen Ramonda gonna be there? And then it's Killmonger, and I'm like, and I out loud I just went, "Yo, shit!"
Yeah, because like when in my theater, like everyone was shell shocked. They were like, "No way!" Killmonger.
It makes perfect sense for the movie because in the comic books, when Shuri tries to become Black Panther in the plane, she gets rejected to be Black Panther. So in this one, it was like, since she kind of got rejected, Killmonger basically was like the one to vouch for her, or like however you want to phrase it as, for her to become the next Black Panther.
Yeah, I was kind of confused why, because listen, like going into this movie, I was like, all right, she's gonna be Black Panther, so I'm looking forward to seeing what this ancestral plane scene is gonna look like. Are they gonna have like, were they going to use like a soundbite of Chadwick Boseman for this?
I thought Ramonda. I thought it would be Ramonda, her mother. I mean, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, they're not going to do CGI Chadwick Boseman because no way would Ryan Coogler do that.
Even in the
they would never allow for that.
The father would be way just out of left field, so it would make more sense to be her mother.
Yeah, but I was kind of confused. Like, how come out of everyone she saw Killmonger of all people?
It made sense to me though. It made sense to me because that's where she was emotional at that point. Because, like I said, this thing really takes you through the grieving process, all the emotions of the grieving process. And at that point, she was at anger. She was angry.
Exactly.
She had lost her mother. Now she was angry. Exactly. She wanted revenge. So that's who she thought of. I mean, that's where she was emotional at that point. She saw what she needed to see,
and that's what she was in the comic books because she's not like her. She's not like her brother.
No,
and like Killmonger said, you're not noble. You're not like your dad because your dad was. He had a different narrative. Like you're like me. You're like I have a killer instinct. You just want to see the world burn.
Yeah, I love the way
you're angry. You're ruthless. You don't have that moral code like your brother did.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that he was there because he gave his we saw his perspective again. Because it's like, when T'Challa went to the spirit realm, to the ancestral plane. Sorry, when he saw his father there, his father was like, "Have I ever steered you wrong?" He's like, "No." I mean, so for T'Challa, his dad was a great dad, even though he eventually by the end he recognized he made mistakes, but still. But
He
to
killed his brother.
Killmonger, he's like, your dad was weak. Your dad was a fool. Your dad was just horrible.
Hypocrite.
Yeah, a hypocrite, a tyrant to him. Because I mean, he just left him there rather than taking it with him. But I mean, I'm glad we saw that perspective because I think that was an important perspective because you saw where it could have gone because that was a reminder of the direction she could have gone had she gone for revenge.
Yeah, because during the scene, I'm like. Because I kind of thought that because I had a feeling that we were gonna see Michael B. Jordan in this movie, not just because he was at the premiere, but because come on, they're gonna use him again.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought that he would be at least reformed or he would be more recognize the error in his ways, even though and everything. But that dude is still.
I'm glad they didn't go that route. I'm happy he stayed the way he was because that's who he was as a character.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he's still one of the best villains in the MCU.
Absolutely.
Jesus
Christ.
Top 3 easily.
Yeah, easily.
Even though,
yes, top 2. Top 1.
You might be top 2. You might be right, Mark.
I say top 1.
Yeah, honestly, besides the only 3
Thanos and him, maybe Loki, but that's it.
Yeah, Thanos, Killmonger, and Loki.
Yeah.
And even though yes, Namor wasn't as good of a villain as Killmonger, because that's a pretty high standard.
That's a high bar.
I still found Namor to be a pretty intimidating villain, and his army, especially when they were doing the siren thing and causing all the people to kill themselves. His opening scene is him spinning a helicopter around, and he throws it.
Yeah,
that scene was honestly scary as fuck. I mean, that was. It was very. It reminded me of the trench scene in terms of impact. Now, it reminded me of the trench scene from Aquaman. And speaking of Aquaman, I have to say, even though I like the backstory with the Tolokans and all that, I didn't think Tolokan as an underwater city was nearly as impressive visually as Atlantis.
I agree.
Visually,
I agree with him.
Visually, no. In Aquaman, visually, Atlantis looks amazing. But as far as world building, I think this movie does a better job at world building an underwater nation.
Well, I think their warriors came across as just badass. Jesus Christ! I mean, even though I think honestly, you consider all of the 7 nations, when you consider the crab people and all that, the fish people and all that Aquaman has, Aquaman would just destroy. Destroy Namor. I'm sorry.
Well,
I mean,
be a hell of a fight.
As his Atlantis, he has an octopus playing the drums.
Can't beat that.
Well,
can't beat that.
He can assemble a Kraken. He can call the Kraken. Oh no, it's Kevin Feige.
Hey, Kevin
Feige.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Kevin Feige. How you guys doing?
All right, Kevin Feige. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm glad you guys liked our movie.
Yeah.
Does this excite you for future projects?
I don't know, Kevin. Are you gonna mess with every other project after this, or no?
I'm pleading the 5th.
You know what?
Is it true? Is it true? Warner Brothers try to hire you?
Nah, I'm not that desperate. But we listened to your criticisms. We let Ryan Coogler do his thing. We really wanted to make the best movie possible for Chadwick Boseman. But we're only going to do it just this once.
Why just this once?
I mean, aren't you looking forward to another season of She-Hulk?
No.
You just
no.
Be careful, Kevin, because I think Jay's about to reach through the screen and punch you.
Jay is about to use some kind of clue.
But yeah, Wakanda forever. Get ready for Spy Kids 5. I mean Ant-Man 3. That is all. Oh yeah, and did any of you have an issue with Namor not being Atlantean?
No.
No. I mean, honestly, if it were me, I would have just said, "Yeah, it's Atlantis. Fuck it." But I mean,
if it were up to me, I would have said Atlantis. But I understand why you couldn't use like Atlantis or Atlantean because
it didn't bother me at all.
But it didn't bother me. Yeah.
There were people giving us shit about it, and I think I'm getting a call from James Cameron that he's about him being pretty pissed that we ripped him off. Apparently, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
I think it's really weird to me, honestly. I had to say, Kevin, it's really a little weird to me.
Best comic book actor
for Tina Tuerta that he was so, for his character Namor, that he was so fixated on this one scientist when all they had to say to him was, "Okay, yeah, but she's just a dumb kid who didn't know what she was doing." They just took advantage of her. I mean, the problem isn't her; it's the government trying to take advantage of her. So, why the fixation on this one girl? When, like she said, hey, we'll just keep her in Wakanda. Problem solved.
Oh, would you look at the time? James Cameron is pretty pissed at me, so I gotta run.
Lawsuit.
Kevin Feige, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but now on to something that's not going to make me have a freaking, rage, session.
I was thinking you were going to Phantom Zone him for mentioning that.
Me too.
I thought you were going to Phantom Zone him for mentioning that.
Look at that, Devin.
Hey, Dev.
But,
yeah, what? Wait, hold on. What happened?
Kevin Feige was here.
You just missed Kevin Feige, man.
You just missed him.
Kevin Feige. We haven't seen that guy in a while.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I know.
We also haven't seen anything worthy from Marvel in a while.
Oh, no, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
No, since Spider-Man No Way Home.
I like Multiverse of Madness. I still had a lot of fun with that movie.
I actually, confession,
Yeah.
I still haven't finished Moon Knight.
I never.
I like Moon Knight. I really loved it.
Me either. I never finished it either.
I liked it. I mean, but then again, unlike you guys, I've never read the comic for that one. I had never even heard of it.
I never read the comics.
I never read the comics.
Never read the
for
comic.
Moon Knight.
I had never even heard of them. So, I mean, I just went in blind, and I really liked it. I loved it, actually.
Yeah.
Because it felt more like the Netflix Marvel series in terms of
I can agree with that, Mark.
Yeah.
See, I feel like it could have been better if it was much more longer, like maybe like 8 or 9 episodes. Because it's just
true.
I feel like we missed out on some stuff.
Yeah,
we
I can
gone.
understand that. Yeah, probably.
So, like I said earlier, like a big thing I appreciate was how Ryan Coogler, still cared.
Yeah,
and
he did deeply. Yeah.
What if him and Michael Giacchino, who did Werewolf by Night, what if the two of them one of them did Blade?
I'm down for that.
That'd be fantastic.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be down with that. Yeah,
Because
Be
he
happy with
did
that.
Werewolf by Night was pretty good. I didn't love it, but I liked it. It was good.
I haven't seen it, so
Personally speaking, I think Ryan Coogler should do Secret Wars.
Yeah,
He should do one of the
That'd be
Avenger
nice.
movies that's coming
He
out. It has
should.
to be one of them.
Yeah,
I don't know why
he
they
should.
don't reach out to him and ask him to do it.
Yeah,
And it gives him something challenging to do with a bigger cast.
exactly.
I agree, and because when you look at Thor: Love and when you look at Thor: Shit and Thunder, you can tell Taika Waititi didn't care.
He gave zero
not.
shits.
Mm-mm.
He gave
just-
zero.
What the fuck is this?
Like,
It felt like he was
exactly.
trying to troll the fans just
Yeah.
by turning everything up to 11.
Into a joke.
I mean, yeah, he was just trying to troll the haters. He's
Oh
like,
look, I was giving this Stormbreaker a beer.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
exactly.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
thank
right.
you.
Here, there was no lazy
Thank
writing.
you, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
No, there really wasn't. It was good.
No,
it was well
it
written.
wasn't. And
Yeah.
honestly, the final fight, pretty intense. Probably one of
was.
the most
It
intense
was.
final fights in the MCU.
Even when
Shuri
I
it was a good
ripped off
fight.
his ankle wing.
Yes.
even though I
Yeah,
had to,
that's
oh yeah,
great,
she
I
really
agree.
did. Yeah. Now the fight between those two was really badass. I gotta say, technically, I kind of laughed at one point. I'm like, this is actually really bad tactics. You never attack the enemy on his ground, especially. I mean, you're attacking them on the water. You're just asking for trouble because all they got to do is sink the boat. They should have been able to easily sink that boat.
Well, then again, how else are they going to be able to lure them out?
Yeah, true.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
I will say though, even though the CGI was a bit spotty, I do like how you can tell that they actually did shoot on location for certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though again, you still why is it always that I can always tell when there's a reshoot shot in the freaking movie? When Val was talking to Agent Ross, I literally saw a reshoot. I'm like, come on, man. Why?
Well, that fight's.
Do you think maybe like Kevin Feige made them do that just to try and connect it to more shit?
I don't know.
Probably. I mean,
you mean for Riri Williams
to have money?
No, not that. When Agent Ross was talking to that chick,
Valentino
or
Val. Valentine.
Yeah, his
let's call it Valentine.
His ex-wife.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, of course. And that was just dumb having her as his ex-wife. Though. I'm like, why?
It was like a throwaway in there. I'm like, what?
Yeah, why is that?
I mean, it doesn't change anything, honestly. It really doesn't.
No, it's not that bad. I mean, it's not. I
don't really care.
Yeah, it's just dumb. But I mean,
no,
I mean, honestly, it's real. But I mean, besides, she's awesome anyway. I just like seeing her. She's
honestly. I mean, listen. I didn't grow up watching Seinfeld, so I have no.
I didn't either. Hey, look, I lived in that time. I didn't watch it.
As far as even though I was concerned on the wrong character being introduced in the movie just because they, she's setting up something. I really just did not like. You could have had the government be its own its own protagonist against Wakanda, because it's like, honestly, I am interested as to seeing what's going to happen in the future, because it's clear a war is coming soon.
Yeah.
A war is coming. Because
they got to set up part 3. That's the whole setup.
A war is coming.
So obviously,
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
The Cambridge stuff was all real, because I remember them shooting Mass Avenue where I used to work at for like 2 or 3 days. They shot that whole chase scene with the police cars and everything.
Oh wow!
That was Mass Avenue, and that bridge that was showed. That's the actual bridge, because I used to drive over there all the time. So they closed that whole thing down.
You see, Disney? You see what happens when you actually put time and effort in shooting on location? You get good scenes like that, because Million Worms, the great nation of Boston, Massachusetts, Cambridge. We got a superhero from freaking Boston.
Yeah. Her name's Ironheart.
It's finally a superhero that's not based in New York City.
I mean,
even the MIT stuff, I recognize that ground suit. That was shot on location. The chase scene was all on location. Everything, that whole thing was actually location.
Yeah.
Like they, Danny who played, not Danny, Danielle or Oki, Sherry, and even Okoye.
Hey, wait a second.
They were all there, shooting that whole thing.
I gotta say, it's not realistic at all that nobody would have noticed the Aztecs around. I mean, police have body cameras.
Yeah, I was thinking
exactly. And they exactly. Come on, there's security cameras everywhere in America now. Come on.
Oh yeah.
No way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Cambridge, you can't walk anywhere without a camera.
Seriously, I mean, come on. Right. There's no way.
But it was just cool to see that they actually shot stuff on location.
Don't tell me they had a battle in the middle of the ocean and none of the satellites picked it up. I mean, come on. They had a whole freaking they invaded Wakanda. And tell me nobody. They had any spies or anything. The satellites picked it up. Like, it was some kind of civil disturbance. Oh, come on.
I will say though, it's like when it comes to I listen, and again, I do like how the government definitely is its own it's kind of there's it's been clear in the MCU that the government is really shady. They're
of course.
Shady
yeah.
And it's I'm not surprised that they're gonna find some kind of way to villainize Wakanda to make them out to be the bad guys and everything. I mean, they were doing that throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Well, look at it geopolitically speaking. Go back to the geopolitics of the whole thing. Imagine you're the United States. You're the big boy on the block. You've been the big boy on the block for the past century. since the end of World War II, essentially. So, and now all of a sudden, overnight, with this one nation just boom coming out, you're not top dog anymore. They're feeling extremely insecure right now. That's why they're looking for any way they can to get their hands on vibranium to try to at least even the score. So, I mean, yeah, this is leading to some kind of a new arms race, some kind of a new Cold War.
And even in real life, that was what America would do anyways. They would want to try to gain power anyways. That's the whole. I mean, I love living in this country because I have opportunities, but this country is built on wars. This country is built on blood.
Yeah.
You know,
It was. That's
still is.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, we're no different than any other country. Yeah, exactly. We were built on blood.
I mean, we had to break laws to build this country.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like I get, like I honestly do. I understand now why Wakanda wanted to be isolated because this would happen. But at the same time, it's like from an African American point of view, from my point of view, I would be mad if I knew that Wakanda was real and y'all did nothing to help us. But at the same time, it's like you do one thing, but then it leads to a whole bunch of other problems because now everyone expects that they're going to be receiving help.
Yeah,
everyone's going to be expecting that they're going to be, receiving resources and everything.
Yeah,
so now, like, it's really unfortunate because it's like T'Challa really wanted to help the African American community and other people, but at the same time, it leads to a whole new, a bunch of problems.
Yeah,
right. It goes back to like Iron Man. After Tony Stark says, "I'm Iron Man," then we go into Iron Man 2. They want the suit.
Yeah,
this kind of felt like a callback with Wakanda, where they wanted the vibranium.
Yeah,
Basically a callback, just a reminder, like where the United States is trying to gain control over something they don't have any control with.
Well, it's like I think with the first film, it felt like Ryan Coogler was trying to answer the question: how do I explain how, if you had this extremely powerful and advanced African nation out there, how do I explain how they did absolutely nothing for victims of the African diaspora and the transatlantic slave trade, who are scattered across the Americas, particularly in the United States. So not that it was the only nation to engage in it, but I mean, obviously the most powerful, the most prominent, either way. And he answered those questions, and he did it in a brilliant way. He did it with this one. The question was, can Wakanda move on beyond the loss of Chadwick Boseman in the real world and T'Challa in the fictional world? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I will say it's like, man, Angela Bassett really did give a good job.
Oh, she did.
Because in the beginning,
she was awesome.
I remember in the beginning of the movie, like when she was giving that speech about the problem isn't we're not willing to share it. The problem is you. And people people in the crowd. There were people in the crowd and also behind us. They were like, they were like,
Yep. I was shaking my head the whole time because she said the problem is not because vibranium is dangerous, it's because you are dangerous. Exactly. She just laid it all out there, I mean,
this is the words from Ryan Coogler too. Especially what happened to him like a year ago. With him getting arrested. Someone thought he was going to rob a bank.
I forgot about it too.
I thought of him when she was talking about, like, okay, that's his writing because look what he was a victim of for being accused of something, which is like it's his own money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ridiculous. Yeah.
He didn't look a specific way and he got arrested for it.
Exactly. And now you have the United States' worst nightmare, a black nation that is more powerful than them. So, I mean, but I thought it was, and the interesting thing is, now you have really two nations. The two most powerful nations on earth are both non-white nations. It really, in a way, serves as a metaphor for the fact that we live in a multipolar world where the United States is just a power, one power among many, no longer just the only top dog now.
Yeah, but it's like, honestly, like, because they're going to make a third Black Panther movie. Like, this movie, I don't know if the Avengers need to be involved. This movie, bro, it's people are going to die.
Yeah.
They're going to die.
I mean, did you guys think that Shuri was going to die? Because that fight between her and Namor was so good. Like you guys said earlier, it was really good.
So.
Like when she slammed, and you see like that stick going through her chest. I'm like, oh shit, are they really?
And again, she ripped off.
Yeah.
She ripped
That's
off one
a
of his
badass.
legs.
You
Yeah.
felt for that. I'm like,
Like,
oh,
yo!
that was such a great
Yeah.
fight between her and Namor. I really give that. That was
Yeah.
one of the best fights in the MCU.
But
Yeah,
honestly,
it really
I
was.
I don't think Shuri's gonna die from that. I mean, because like
No.
the heart shape
No.
herb is like
No.
it does give you like some like healing.
Yeah, because
It's
it
like-
had to. She had to end that journey successfully. She had to come to
Yeah.
a point of acceptance and peace. And when she had the opportunity to kill him and she didn't, that's when she reached her peace. She
Yeah.
finally reached a point of acceptance and reached the point
It was
of
like
peace.
it was like a callback to Chadwick Boseman in Civil War. I think it was in Civil
Mhm.
War where like
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
he had to
so-
learn the same
Yeah.
lesson. Exactly.
I forgot the quote,
That's
but
why
when
I
she said
loved
it,
him. He was
I
the
was like,
best part of Civil
callback.
War.
I have goosebumps thinking about it
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, it's such a
But
great.
Yeah.
at the
He
same
was
time, I
the best
do,
part of Civil War.
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like I mean, even though like
Don't let revenge consume you, or something like that.
Exactly.
along those lines. Yeah.
at the same time, it's like Shuri, like yes, like Shuri and T'Challa, like they definitely won't like let vengeance consume them. But the T'Challa, like even though T'Challa's peaceful, he don't got a problem with taking a life.
No, he don't.
No.
What's the problem with it?
No, we saw that in
He'll
Civil
do it.
War.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was willing to take. Well,
Yeah,
he killed
He'll do it.
Killmonger,
Yeah.
but he was willing to kill Claw. Like he was not. He was like, every breath you take.
Oh, yeah.
like I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, he was ready to. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it
That's
just
right.
Killmonger did it before he had the chance. So
But I will say, like, I do like the callbacks to the first movie, like especially when Queen Ramonda was on the ship, and the TV was showing. In the first one, it was like T'Challa was on the ship, and it was showing the death of his father, and it pans to like him holding the helmet, and it pans up to T'Challa, and in this one, it's the roles are kind of similar. She the Queen is holding her I guess you could say her hat or something or crown or whatever. And in the TV's talking about T'Challa's, his death and everything. I'm like, bro, like the similarities is like crazy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where it would go from here
absolutely.
because it's interesting because it seems like M'Baku is going to become the king, and I really loved him in this film.
Oh yeah, I do too.
And I thought he even as great as he was in the first film, because even in the first film he showed he was the more than just comic relief, but he really went into it here because I love how he played that wise counselor role. And but speaking of which, I also wanted to say the brilliant thing about the film, and I think this will lead to bigger things for Namor, obviously in the future, is that at the end of the day, Namor got what he wanted. That's why he yielded. He got his alliance. That's all he wanted. He wanted an alliance to ensure the future of his people of Tomoka. That's why when his wife or whatever was talking to him, he's like, "I've waited all this time to fight with you, and you just gave in,
I
yielded."
think that was his cousin.
Yeah, our cousin. Okay, sorry, but cousin. He's like, look,
Alabama.
and look, the most powerful, person in the most powerful nation in the world just promised me an alliance. Our future is secure. Because he got what he wanted.
Do you think he'll come back?
He's gonna come back.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will.
Be able to hide.
But in what?
It will definitely be.
They're not going to be able.
It will be sooner than you think. They're
Yeah.
not just gonna wait till the third.
Thunderbolts.
No, I could see Thunderbolts, maybe Fantastic Four, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Somewhere.
Because
Yeah.
Namor.
Oh yeah.
Thor.
Because I'm thinking that Val is going to reveal that they did.
And the original Human Torch and Namor, two of Marvel's first characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
fight in New York.
Yeah,
that is true.
True.
What about them is so significant?
They
were the very first Marvel heroes
this big
created.
brawl that they did in Timely Comics back in the early 40s, I believe it is.
Oh.
41, 42.
Yeah.
Oh, so
just a huge, iconic thing from Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the Fantastic Four, so apparently they're not doing Doctor Doom in their first movie, which is good.
I don't mind that. Like do the Mole Man.
I was gonna say there's plenty of Fantastic Four villains other than Doctor Doom.
It's like when Superman movies. It's like when most Superman movies have Lex Luthor as the villain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, they've tried twice now doing
The thing,
kicking off Fantastic Four franchises with Doctor Doom.
that's in fact,
no, twice because the second film was the second film in it. I'm saying that twice to kick off Fantastic Four franchise.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the Roger Corman movie,
Yeah.
the first Tim Story movie,
yeah,
and
but-
then the 2015 movie.
Yeah.
The Roger Corman
I'll say
film was
this.
never even released.
Oh, wait. I got some. Okay.
Right.
I was going to say, because I know originally for the 2015 movie, Josh Trank did not want Dr. Doom to be the villain. It was going to be the Mole Man, but because 20th Century Fox pretty much screwed him over, they said, no, Dr. Doom's going to be the villain whether you like it or not. And that's why he was shoehorned at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They did have his character in the movie, and like I thought they were setting up the moment, but I guess not. But honestly, like you can have Victor in the movie and set him up to be Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
Right, I was gonna say that. Like I
that's
don't
what
want
I would
another.
do. I would just have Victor in the movie. Yeah.
It's like this is not just a Fantastic Four's villain. This is a villain. That
Marvel
is like,
villain.
This is a Marvel villain.
Marvel villain. Stan Lee's second greatest character
Marvel universe.
that he ever created was
This
This
is
is
the
the
guy.
Avengers level.
He has his own country. He has his own country.
Yeah.
This is the guy who stole the powers of the Silver Surfer, the Beyonder, and Odin.
like
Yes.
I can see Doctor Doom being the next villain in the Black Panther series for the third movie.
Yeah,
Because he has this thing with Wakanda for a long time in the comic books.
Well, hold on now. We know the big villain in this series, these next few phases, is Kang.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, apparently, I think they'll just kind of put Doctor Doom with the back burner, maybe build him up a little bit, and then maybe after Kang.
See, I thought Galactus was going to be the.
Yeah, I
the
thought the
next big one, too.
Galactus would
I
be
wanna
after
see Galactus.
But they
King.
have, because they're doing a lot of different things for
Honestly,
for
though, I'm honestly really glad that we did not get any set up for any future installments in this movie.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad because
Yeah.
I did see Real Rejects like thumbnail like is this the bet like this is this the best like the post credit scene. I'm like dang,
Yes.
like,
Yeah. I can't, because I stayed until the very, very end waiting for an after credit scene, because they got a mid credit scene. That was a mid credit scene where his son was revealed. I kept waiting for it afterward. I'm like, they're going to have something for Thunderbolts or something, because Kaylee and I were talking about what it's going to be. I was like, I bet it's either going to be Thunderbolts or maybe Ironheart. You sort of set her up,
Well, see, I think they're learning from like not teasing too much right away anymore. Like, let's just make it as its own movie. If
But I
we
mean-
tease anything, we're
Right.
just gonna exceed so many
But
expectations.
it goes
and we're gonna
into
get so
this
mad.
film being more restrained, and I fucking
Right.
love that. I wish they do that more. I mean,
Thank you.
because sometimes it's like, look, people keep pointing back to Superman the movie having humor. Yeah, they did, but Superman the movie used humor in a very restrained way. It was still a
Right.
film that took itself seriously. I mean, if you use it in a more restrained way, it becomes more effective. You don't need a formula that we need a joke a minute. Literally, they had a formula, a joke a minute. Come
and
on,
I like
joke a
and I
minute.
like how even though like the destruction and everything that was going on in this movie happened, it was right that the Wakandans took care of it because it was
Yes.
a Wakandan problem. It
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Because
No.
like the Eternals, that's
No.
the Avengers level. That's a world-ending threat.
Mhm.
You're telling me that the Avengers are just like,
They got
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It does, and I'm glad, because honestly, the fact when Namor and the Talokans attacked Wakanda, it really paralleled what they were feeling inside, because after the loss of T'Challa, they were feeling very vulnerable and alone and isolated. And, honestly, they were feeling vulnerable. Like, can we stand without them? And no matter the front they were putting up, that's how they felt. I mean, and clearly, because they were paralyzed. Rather than taking action after he appears, they just, you would think, okay, how can we extend the shields down into the water or whatever? They did nothing. And after that attack, they felt totally vulnerable. And I love the way it kind of paralleled the emotional journey there. So
yeah, but it's like I do because like Wakanda Forever works as its own movie in its
It does.
own
Yeah.
separate. Like they're dealing with their own problems. Like that's the problem with like half of these movies. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange now Spider-Man.
yes,
Spider-Man No Way Home. I get it. You got two Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
yes.
You don't need the Avengers for that. That's something small.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For Doctor Strange, like that's also something small. It's not that that they took care of it because that has to do with their
Mhm.
issues and their problems. Thor: Love and Thunder.
That's its own
All
shit.
Thor
show.
shits and thunders, yeah, or piss and thunder.
That's its own shit show.
That's its own
That-
shit
that-
show.
Thor shit show. We'll call it that. Thor shit show.
As bad as that movie is, at least it had like they took care of their own problems by themselves.
Yeah.
And it mostly it was in space anyway, so you really don't need the Avengers for that. But this is where Eternals fails because this is a global threat, and you're telling me that no one else decided to be like, oh, celestial coming out of our Earth. Let's do something.
Yeah,
about it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what's
the
that
ending
big
credit,
dick
too.
sticking up out of the earth? Oh, that's just a celestial. Who cares?
That's just a celestial trying to destroy the Earth. Let him be. He'll get over it.
That's just
Out of
And the
the
mid
mouth.
credit as well.
And what's worse, is that like it gets referenced in She-Hulk and other properties, and it's like, dude,
Yeah.
what?
It did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then Miss Marvel. You could say that that's something that really wasn't like that big of a threat. So that's probably something that Miss Marvel could handle on her own. Loki, that's cosmic, so that's really not something that needs to be handled elsewhere. Black Widow. Well, this happened during like the like Civil War timeline.
That came out between
It came out
Civil War and
pre-Xfinity.
Infinity War.
Yeah, before
So like,
Infinity
I
War.
guess you can, but
Xfinity.
yeah, it's like and I do, yeah. Even though they had Riri Williams and Valentina, I still liked how this movie was strictly a Black Panther movie. It
Yeah.
wasn't trying to set up
Right.
a sequel.
Yeah. And even Riri Williams, yeah, she was used as a plot device, but like I said, she was at least really good in the film. She was really
was fun.
charming, entertaining. Even though she was technically used as a plot device twice, one to get the Wakandans against the fighting the Talokans and have them allow them to kidnap Shuri, and then twice the second time to kill Queen Ramonda. Because I mean, when she dies, it's just because she goes back to save her. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone mentioned this. While there's no obvious setups for other movies, there's still like teases by Easter eggs. Like on the TV, there's like there's like a scrolling text about Ant-Man writing a novel.
yeah,
Which
I don't
is
mind that
obviously
because
a tease for Ant-Man 3.
that's
Well,
good stuff. I don't mind that.
I mean, Devin, you got some large attention
Yeah.
spans.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I
I didn't see
I
that.
didn't notice it either.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like,
I mean,
all right.
that kind of stuff I don't mind because that's kind of stuff is world built. That makes it feel like an interconnected universe.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
But-
that kind of stuff I can appreciate that.
Well,
So,
it's like I
they
do.
don't shove a bunch of other stuff in there.
Yeah, but I mean, well, because like we're like an hour and 7 minutes, like almost 8 minutes in, so we gotta close it soon. But
Before we close it, can I say something? Now
Yeah.
that Phase 4 is finally over, do we want to give our like top favorite movies of the Phase 4 or something?
We're just saying movies, not the shows.
not shows because it's just too much with the shows. I'd rather just go.
Okay,
movies.
that's.
Alright, so
I guess that's easy for
Yeah.
me.
Okay,
Yeah, me
alright,
too.
Yeah, that's easy for me.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, No Way Home would be my top for Phase 4, and then this one would be second. Multiverse of Madness would be third, I guess.
I think for me it would be number 1 would be No Way Home, number 2 would be this one, and number 3 I think would probably be Shang-Chi.
Okay, so for me, and I'm counting Werewolf by Night because it is pretty much a movie.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
Okay.
I got Wakanda Forever. 'Cause I think
Yeah.
as a movie, it's better than No Way Home. No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Werewolf by Night, Multiverse of Madness, Black Widow, and then Eternals.
Oh, we rank.
We can
So
rank them. We can. say
I thought we were just naming our top 3. I didn't know we were ranking.
I mean, I just gave my top
If
3.
I
Just
were-
because
I just
those
gave
are
my
the
top
main-
3.
Whatever you want to do,
Like,
top
honestly-
3 or all of them, whatever you guys want to do.
Honestly, if I were to rank them all, No Way Home would be number 1.
Mhm.
Then this Shang-Chi, and I actually like Black Widow, so that'll be my next one. Then Multiverse of Madness, Eternals, and then Thor scoring 7 years ago.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I just
mine-
think
Yeah,
my
for me-
top. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go on. You go on.
I forgot about Thor: Love and Thunder. I forgot
Oh
about that
Jesus
movie.
Christ! Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Thor
go.
shit
Yeah.
show. We'll just call it Thor shit show.
Yeah.
I call it shit and thunder. So.
But I mean, honestly, I only gave my top 3 because those are the main 3 I care about.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
Shang-Chi would be number 4. I like Shang-Chi. I didn't love it.
It's a fun movie.
But
Yeah,
I liked it.
I loved it.
I liked it.
I like Shang-Chi, but it falls apart in the end with like
Yeah.
the CGI dragon
Okay.
and CGI.
But
The
yeah.
rest
like
was
the
just
Kamehameha
me.
Wave.
But I guess for me, if I had to rank them all,
Yeah.
I've already listed my top 3: No Way Home, Wakanda
Mhm.
Forever, and Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Number 4 would be Multiverse of Madness. Number 5 would be Black Widow. 6 would be Eternals, and then dead last would be Shit and Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine would be Spider-Man: No Way Home, Wakanda Forever, Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, Werewolf by Night, Black Widow, and I will say Thor shit show.
Yeah. Oh, if I'm including,
So you didn't see Eternals?
Yeah, I saw Eternals.
Yeah. If I'm including Werewolf by Night,
Eternals would be
I'd
like
probably-
the second from last.
I gotcha.
I'd
Honestly,
probably
like,
put
I don't-
Werewolf. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. No,
No, I was just gonna say I would probably put Werewolf by Night above Shang-Chi.
I never saw
But
Werewolf by
I
Night.
like those 5. Those 5 are okay with me. I'm good with them. But I mean, the rest of them are just shit shows. Black Widow was just mediocre. It wasn't horrible, but it was just mediocre to me.
It was mediocre.
Mediocre.
I
And
It was meant to
the
be
other
phase
2,
3.
Eternals, was boring as fuck. And
Yes.
Thor shit and Thunder speaks for itself.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, I don't even know which one is worse. Like, Eternals or Love and Thunder? Because
Love and
I
Thunder
mean,
was hard.
I mean, I keep
Yeah,
asking. I
Thunder
mean,
was
the
worse.
thing is, choosing between Eternals and Shit and Thunder is like saying, which would you rather be? Would you rather be frustrated or bored to death?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like-
You'd rather be angry or bored.
Well said, right, dude.
I'd rather be
Yeah.
bored, honestly, than frustrated. But it's
Me
like
too.
I
Yeah.
never felt it. Like, listen, I've seen every single Marvel movie, whether that's in the MC, whether that is in a theater or do the COVID at my house, and I've never fell asleep during it. Well, I'm not gonna count Iron Man because like I was a kid at the time, so like I obviously I couldn't stay up as late as I could. But since then, I never fell asleep during a Marvel movie until Eternals.
Yeah, Eternals was just,
Yeah, it was boring.
Eternals made me fall asleep, and it was during when they were fighting in the forest, and then when I woke up, Gilgamesh died. And I'm like, oh wait, he died.
Yeah.
What happened?
yeah.
Mhm.
Seriously, I struggled to get through that, man. I mean, because I was just like right before the stream, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Like an hour left. I'm like, you can do it, man. Come on.
Yeah,
And I just barely made it. God, I was like, I just like that was boring as fuck. I hate it.
Yeah, but with Love and Thunder, like I was just so annoyed. Like I was annoyed. I couldn't I couldn't handle
Yeah,
it anymore.
actively hated it. Yeah,
I'm just like dude, it didn't like this again. It didn't feel like the events that were happening in this movie were real. Because this was narrated by freaking Ford. And one of the most unreliable sources you can imagine.
Yeah.
So it's like
and some people try to make that a thing, Jay. That's what gets me is some people try to make that a thing and say, well, that's why it's brilliant because he's an unreliable narrator. I'm like,
No, it's not.
I love an unreliable narrator. I'll give you an example of a movie that does it. 300 does it very well. I mean, just not a recent movie, but I mean, Elvis did it with having the Colonel as the narrator, an unreliable narrator. But I mean, an unreliable narrator can be used very well. This just made it fucking stupid, though.
Yeah.
I mean, dear God, it was dumb.
Yeah.
it's like because they try to find they try to like make a reason that like they try to make Thor's hammer the Mjolnir like a sentient being. Like,
oh my
and
God.
What?
Breaker.
When did you establish this?
Like what?
My
Oh
hammer.
my God, it was so
my
stupid. It just
hammer.
made it.
Keep my hammer.
It's so stupid.
You know what? We're gonna stop it here because
We
go
good.
on for another hour.
Okay.
So yes, this was the Cool Kids
Yep.
stream, and we
Go watch Wakanda Forever.
Go watch Wakanda Forever. And stay tuned. Okay, and stay tuned for our next Cool Kids review, which would be on the 26th on my channel, where we review Disney's newest animated feature, Strange World.
New World. Strange World.
Strange World.
Good
Yep.
day, good day, everyone, and as always, Wakanda forever.
Wakanda
Forever.
forever.
Wakanda Forever.